thanks so much for sticking around with the program on this Tuesday morning. It is the 20th of October. Whatever, whatever it is that you got planned for today, we're hoping that you're going to try your best to get it out of the way. You're heading out there today on the roadways. Please remember to be careful and look out for those drivers who might just not be looking out for you. The kids are leaving for school. You want to talk to them also about safe usage of our roadways. It is time now for us to have a conversation on what is happening with Dynamic Airways. As I mentioned earlier on the program today, let me go immediately and welcome to the show. I've got seated next to me John Mullins, the Chief Operations Officer of Dynamic Airways, and next to Mr. Mullins, I've got Dellon Murray, Marketing Manager there at the Roraima Group. And the Roraima Group is basically the ground handling service for Dynamic and also an agent, ticketing agent. All right, gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
And this is our inaugural show on the program.
Yeah,
so
this is the first time.
As much as well, those persons watching us, and we're happy to be here.
This is the first time you guys are coming on the show. I want to start with Dellon. Dellon, Dynamic is celebrating its first anniversary, or you're beyond that?
The first anniversary, as of June, July, we would have had that celebration. And it said, coming back from June, July, we've had Dynamic doing extremely well, continue to do extremely well. Persons may ask themselves, what does Dynamic have to do with Roraima? Well, Roraima is the official ground handling and the ticketing agent for Dynamic International Airways. We want persons to know that's the official name now, Dynamic International Airways. We've been, as I said, Dynamic has been doing well. Roraima in partnership has been able to provide not only job opportunities, but afford to Guyanese cost-effective fares so they can be able to travel straight flight to New York. Yeah.
And we're seeing more Guyanese traveling now, would you say that?
Yes, Dynamic has really reshaped the aviation sector, giving persons not only the opportunity, because we know the U.S. Embassy has been, giving out visas to persons they can be able to travel.
It's easier now. In fact, yesterday a friend and I, we were talking, and at another news agency, we're talking that persons are getting visas more now when compared to like 10 years ago. The process, I think, was a bit more tedious.
I'm not sure I can be able to speak to that, but when they get their visa, they can be able to book a flight with Dynamic, and in a matter of a few minutes.
No, but the fact is, more people are traveling. More people are traveling. Bottom line is, and they're choosing Dynamic.
Yes, because of the fares, because of the service, and one of the things that John will be able to speak to is that Dynamic offers that unique Guyanese touch, because on board, when you go on board of Dynamic International Airways, we have Guyanese flight attendants, we have other nationalities, but mostly the route New York to Guyana, Guyanese flight attendants who give you that Guyanese touch and flavor.
And there's nothing like traveling and I've got people who can connect with me on board. I feel right at home throughout the entire journey.
You know the Guyanese right away.
Throughout the journey. All right, let's come across to Mr. Mullins. First, I want to touch on being the COO of Dynamic.
Yes.
What is that like?
It's fantastic. It keeps me busy. It keeps the rest of my team busy. I'm a bit of a taskmaster. When I was first asked to take the role by the owner of Dynamic, we weren't in a good place with Guyana. This was last Christmas, last New Year's. We needed a quick turnaround, and that's what we did. So I know the past is the past, and of course you're supposed to learn from the past.
Yes.
Never take it for granted, but we've turned around what was something that wasn't so desirable, and now when it comes to reliability, we're up over 90% on-time performance. We were as high as daily flights into Guyana over the spring. Right now we're 4 flights a week, and as Dellon had said, there's so many moving parts. We're looking to invest, not just carry the passengers, the guests from Guyana to JFK, or JFK back to Guyana, is to invest, which is we have ample space for cargo, so that'll increase in the agriculture verticals within Guyana itself, the fishing trade as well. There is such a demand for Guyanese product up in New York, and we have the vessel, and it's non-stop. So when the adage is from farm fresh from garden to plate, that some restaurants now are claiming they can do that within 12 hours, we can have Guyanese products provided up at the out destinations within that 12 hours.
All right, you mentioned that you got 4 flights so far. Are you planning on increasing those?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, it's called the shoulder season. It's in between summer and winter. So winter technically starts November 28th with all international airlines. So people book their slots, or airlines book their slots, their placements, their permits, everything for November 28th until May 28th. So that's technically the winter season. So I understand, having spent the last 2 days with some of your most impressive and new ministers here in Guyana, especially Kathy Hughes, which
she's fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely highlighted my trip. So, Kathy, if you're out there watching, thank you very much for the time that you had spent yesterday, and we just emphasize how we want to be a part of Guyana, where, as Dellon had said, is we've hired not only the first 28 Guyanese flight attendants for Dynamic, and it isn't just doing the JFK runs. We've just opened up Fort Lauderdale, Caracas, daily flights to that. We didn't have any Venezuelan crew. We had Guyanese crew. So when it came to the introduction of this Venezuelan market, all the crew on board were Guyanese.
Oh. You could have chosen flight attendants from other countries.
But we chose
Guyana.
Well, okay. From Guyana, what is renowned is the warmth, the hospitality, and the traditions. They fit like a glove on board the aircraft. It didn't matter who the guest was. It was quite impressive. I was on the first flight, same with the owners, the press teams, and they did an outstanding job. Outstanding job. I was very impressed. It was the first time for myself being on an all Guyanese crewed flight going down to another destination that was not in Guyana. So they held up their end of the bargain. They were quite impressive.
All right. How is it that, I'm not sure if I can shoot this to you, but
sure,
how is it that Dynamic has managed to keep the fares low? Because there was a time in Guyana when we paid extremely high prices to fly to JFK on our carriers. Dynamic is here, came into the market and brought fares down low to a very competitive level.
Correct.
I'm now thinking, how are you keeping those prices low? What is your strategy, and how do you intend to maintain prices at the level in which they are?
Well, there's several factors in order to keep the prices low. One, primarily, is competition. If there is no competition, if it's a dominant market or a proprietary market, you can have one carrier charge whatever. If somebody needs to go, they have to pay. So by having competition, we encourage competition. I understand, I've met a few of the CEOs of our competition, and it's a friendly livelihood. It has to be. It literally keeps us all in check. And by having competition, the winner essentially is the guest. So they benefit from that. It also helps, world economics, with the oil prices being low, and with the traveling public. The fuller the flights, the easier it is to be able to predict, and the easier it is to drop the prices.
All right. Moving forward, what can we expect?
What can we expect? I had mentioned last night a pretty aggressive plan of our goal is to create more jobs here in Guyana. It's to increase the flights. By increasing the flights, we need more, not only crew, we need the ground handling. Yes. By increasing the cargo, 10 tons of cargo per flight. How many, in the fishing industry here, in the agriculture industry here, ecotourism, bringing in more and more ecotourism. It's my first time to Guyana. Stunning, absolutely stunning country. So I know a lot of Canadians. I know a lot of people where I live now that would love to come to Guyana who have never been.
And Handel, to bring that in, we talked about ecotourism. And that's what Guyana is known for, because we have bird watching. And one of the things we tell persons, looking at it, I like to ask you the question, when was the last time you did something different? That's a question Captain Gavai always asks. When was the last time you did something different? And when we talk about ecotourism at its best, Arrow Point Nature Resort gives you that, because at Arrow Point...
Dellon, I've got to jump in here. The first time I was at Arrow Point is when we were there. I think it was a few months ago.
When we rehabilitated the Santa Mission. Yes.
And it's quite amazing that you're here in Guyana and you don't know that your country got all of this. I'm thinking now you become a really good marketing agent when you travel and you go overseas. You market really go here. Yeah.
And to talk about Arrow Point, in that the environs of Arrow Point has one of the world's rarest birds, which is called the crimson topaz. persons who bird watchers and those who love to do that can be able to just sit there in the morning, just listen.
No wonder you're into marketing, boy.
Right.
All right, let's talk about destination for Dynamics. The destination, because you did mention you went into Caracas, Venezuela.
Yes.
What are some of the other? You fly to China too?
We fly to China. There's several destinations in China. We have the Chinese New Year coming up, and with that, right now we fly. Some American outposts, that being Saipan and Guam. We also fly to Palau and Hong Kong. We have several destinations that right now, literally, our owners are in negotiations with to open up those countries or those provinces within China.
Fantastic. All right, Dellon, anything else? Because
yes, just, and then you know that Roraima group of companies that we just talked about, Dynamic, it speaks volumes to what Roraima is really pushing and really helping young Guyanese and our Guyanese people, because Captain Gavaya and his wife Debbie Gavaya has really put together a fantastic product. Roraima Airways is a conglomerate of services. We talk about hotels, the aviation sector. We talk to anything that you would like to do when it comes to fun. You can be able to have it done at Roraima. Weddings, we know that Juke Lodge is known for the home of weddings and so forth. But today when we have our press conference with John, we're looking for media operatives to be there on time for 10 o'clock. We'll be able to brief you a little more in detail of what Dynamic is doing, what Roraima as well will be ensuring that Guyana is put on the front burner for ecotourism, for tourism throughout the world, because of course Kathy Hughes and our new administration is pushing to make Guyana stand out. Are we going to be there?
Are there any special announcements that might come up from today's press conference?
Well, we keep that for the press conference.
All right, John, any parting words, anything you want to leave with us? I think the fact being too that when persons get onto Dynamic, they can expect an experience. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely. And it's not only expect the experience, but it's like coming home. It's safe, it's reliable, and we're proving that we're affordable. We're on time. So when you need to be somewhere, we make sure you're there on time. It's now our company credo, where everyone knows what our on-time performance is and what we can do to improve it. 93%, I think we can do better. So it's always striving to not be ever mediocre.
What are the flights leaving Guyana, the percentage in terms of how full the flight?
We're full. It's easy to say. We're full today. Right now, we're looking on average in between 87% and 92% capacity.
And just a quick reminder, it's always important to book early.
Absolutely.
If you're flying, always important to book early, because I think your prices are not across. I don't think any airline the price they're across the board.
But persons can be able to, as I said, call Juke Lodge, who is the home of Dynamic International Airways, the home right here. You can call Juke Lodge on 231-7220, 231-7220, or you can contact any other travel agency. But Juke Lodge is the home of
Dynamic here. And you can also head online and you can do your bookings too.
We always call our friendly staff is welcome there to assist you in your bookings. You know, some first-time flyers want to get some information. They may not be able to know to navigate the internet to get. So we'll be there to serve you.
All right, great. John Mullins, thanks so much for
being
here.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having us.
Dellon, it was a pleasure talking to you.
First time.
Okay. And I think that in the evening newscast today, persons will get to hear more, as you mentioned earlier, about what is happening with the airline. Once again, gentlemen, thanks so much for being here on the program.
My pleasure.
All right, so there it is. We were talking about Dynamic International Airways. Did I get correct?
Yes, correct.
It's International Airways. All right, and again, please stay glued to your television newscast, social media, because you'll be hearing more about Dynamic and what it is that they've got planned. Stick around, the program continues after this.